Michael Schumacher, born January 3, 1969, is a German former racing driver who competed in Formula One for Jordan, Benetton, Ferrari, and Mercedes. Schumacher has a joint record 7 World Drivers' Championship titles and, at the time of his retirement from the sport in 2012, he held the records for the most wins, pole positions, and podium finishes, which have since been broken by Hamilton, while he maintains the record for the most fastest laps, among others. After beginning his racing career in karting, Schumacher enjoyed success in several junior single-seater series. After a one-off Formula One appearance with Jordan at the 1991 Belgian Grand Prix, Schumacher was signed by Benetton for the rest of the 1991 season. He won his first and second drivers' titles consecutively in 1994 and 1995. Schumacher moved to the struggling Ferrari team in 1996. During his first years at the team, Schumacher lost out on the title in the final race of the season in 1997 and 1998 and suffered a broken leg from a brake failure in 1999. He and Ferrari won 5 consecutive titles from 2000 to 2004, including unprecedented 6th and 7th titles, breaking several records. After finishing third in 2005 and second in 2006, Schumacher retired from the sport, although he later made a brief return with Mercedes from 2010 to 2012. Schumacher was noted for pushing his car to the very limit for sustained periods during races, a pioneering fitness regimen and ability to galvanize teams around him. He and his younger brother Ralph are the only siblings to win races in Formula One and the first siblings to finish first and second in the same race, a feat they repeated in 4 subsequent races. Over his career, Schumacher was involved in several controversial racing incidents. Twice, he was involved in collisions in the final race of a season that decided the title, first with Damon Hill at the 1994 Australian Grand Prix, and later with Jacques Villeneuve at the 1997 European Grand Prix. An ambassador for UNESCO, Schumacher has been involved in humanitarian projects and has donated tens of millions of dollars to charity. In December 2013, Schumacher suffered a severe brain injury in a skiing accident. He was placed in a medically induced coma until June 2014. He left the hospital in Grenoble for further rehabilitation at the Lausanne University Hospital, before being relocated to his home to receive medical treatment and rehabilitation privately in September 2014. Early years. Michael Schumacher was born in the West German town of Herth, North Rhine-Westphalia, on January 3, 1969, to working-class parents Rolf, a bricklayer who later ran the local kart track, and Elisabeth Schumacher, who operated the track's canteen. When Schumacher was 4, his father modified his pedal kart by adding a small motorcycle engine. After Michael crashed it into a lamp post in Kerpen, his parents took him to the karting track at Kerpen-Horum, where he became the youngest member of the karting club. His father built him a kart from discarded parts and, at the age of 6, Schumacher won his first club championship. To support his son's racing, Rolf took on a second job renting and repairing karts, while his wife worked at the track's canteen. Nevertheless, when Michael needed a new engine costing 800 DM, his parents were unable to afford it. He was able to continue racing with support from local businessmen. Regulations in Germany require a driver to be at least 14 years old to obtain a kart license. To get around this, Schumacher obtained a license in Luxembourg at the age of 12. In 1983, he obtained his German license, a year after he won the German Junior Kart Championship. Schumacher joined Eurokart dealer Adolf Neubert in 1985, and by 1987, he was the German and European kart champion. Then he quit school and began working as a mechanic. In 1988, he made his first step into single-seat car racing by participating in the German Formula Ford and Formula Koenig series, winning the latter. In 1989, Schumacher signed with Willy Weber's WTS Formula 3 team. Funded by Weber, he competed in the German Formula 3 series, winning the title in 1990. He also won the 1990 Macau Grand Prix under controversial circumstances. He placed second behind Mika Hakkinen in the first heat, 3 seconds behind. At the start of the second heat, he overtook Hakkinen, who only had to finish within 3 seconds of Schumacher to clinch the overall win. In the closing laps, Schumacher made a mistake, allowing Hakkinen to attempt to overtake. Michael changed his line immediately before Hakkinen did the same as the latter moved to overtake, and Hakkinen crashed into the back of Schumacher's car. While Hakkinen's race was ended, Schumacher drove to victory without a rear wing. During 1990, along with his Formula 3 rivals Heinz-Harald Frentzen and Karl Wendlinger, he joined the Mercedes Junior Racing program in the World Sportscar Championship. This was unusual for a young driver. Most of Schumacher's contemporaries competed in Formula 3000 on the way to Formula 1. However, Weber advised Schumacher that being exposed to professional press conferences and driving powerful cars in long-distance races would help his career. In the 1990 World Sportscar Championship season, Schumacher won the season finale at the Autódromo Hermanos Rodriguez in a Sauber Mercedes C11, and finished 5th in the Drivers' Championship despite only driving in 3 of the 9 races. He continued with the team in the 1991 World Sportscar Championship season, winning again at the final race of the season at Autopolis in Japan with a Sauber Mercedes C291, leading to a 9th place finish in the Drivers' Championship. He also competed at Le Mans during that season, finishing 5th in a car shared with Wendlinger and Fritz Kreutzpointner. In 1991, he competed in 1 race in the Japanese Formula 3000 Championship, finishing 2nd. During the 1991 430 km of Nürburgring, Schumacher was involved in a serious incident with Derek Warwick. While trying to set his flying lap in qualifying, Schumacher encountered Warwick's Jaguar on a slow lap, resulting in lost time for Schumacher. As retaliation for being in his way, Schumacher swerved his Sauber into Warwick's car, hitting the Jaguar's nose and front wheel. Enraged by Schumacher's attitude, Warwick drove to the pits and chased Schumacher on foot. He eventually caught up with Schumacher, and it took intervention from several mechanics and Schumacher's teammate Jochen Mass to prevent Warwick physically assaulting Schumacher. Formula 1 career. Schumacher was noted throughout his career for his ability to produce fast laps at crucial moments in a race and to push his car to the very limit for sustained periods. He was also noted for his pioneering fitness regimen and ability to galvanize teams around him. In 2003, motorsport author Christopher Hilton observed that a measure of a driver's capabilities is his performance in wet races, because the most delicate car control and sensitivity are needed, and noted that like other great drivers, Schumacher's record in wet conditions shows very few mistakes. Up to the end of 2003, Schumacher won 17 of the 30 races in wet conditions he contested. Some of Schumacher's best performances occurred in such conditions, earning him the nicknames Regenkönig or Regenmeister, even in the non-German language media. He is also known as the Red Baron, because of his red Ferrari and in reference to the German Manfred von Richthofen, the famous flying ace of the First World War. Schumacher's nicknames also include Schumi, Schui and Sch. Schumacher is often credited with popularizing Formula 1 in Germany, where it was formerly considered a fringe sport. When Schumacher retired in 2006, 3 of the top 10 drivers in that year's drivers' standings were German, more than any other nationality. Younger German drivers, such as Sebastian Vettel, felt Schumacher was key in their becoming Formula 1 drivers. In 2020, Vettel named Schumacher the greatest Formula 1 driver of all time. During a large part of his Formula 1 career, Schumacher was the president of the Grand Prix Drivers Association. In a 2006 FIA survey, he was voted the most popular driver of the season among Formula One fans. During the same year, Formula One figures such as Niki Lauda and David Coulthard hailed Schumacher as the greatest all-round racing driver in the history of the sport. In 2020, Schumacher was voted the most influential person in Formula One history. Jordan. Schumacher made his Formula One debut with the Irish Jordan Ford team at the 1991 Belgian Grand Prix, driving car number 32 as a replacement for the imprisoned Bertrand Gauchat. Schumacher, still a contracted Mercedes driver, was signed by Eddie Jordan after Mercedes paid Jordan $150,000 for his debut. The week before the race, Schumacher impressed Jordan designer Gary Anderson and team manager Trevor Foster during a test drive at Silverstone. Schumacher's manager Webber assured Jordan that Schumacher knew the challenging Spa-Francorchamps circuit well, although in fact he had only seen it as a spectator. During the race weekend, teammate Andrea de Cesaris was meant to show Schumacher the circuit, but was held up with contract negotiations. Schumacher then learned the track on his own, by cycling around the track on a fold-up bike he brought with him. He impressed the paddock by qualifying 7th. This matched the team's season-best grid position, and Schumacher out-qualified veteran de Cesaris. Motorsport journalist Joe Saward reported that after qualifying, clumps of German journalists were talking about the best talent since Stefan Belov. Schumacher retired on the first lap of the race with clutch problems. Benetton. Following his Belgian Grand Prix debut, and despite an agreement in principle between Jordan and Schumacher's Mercedes management that would see the German race for the Irish team for the remainder of the season, Schumacher was engaged by Benetton Ford for the next race. Jordan applied for an injunction in the British courts to prevent Schumacher driving for Benetton, but lost the case as they had not yet signed a final contract. 1991–1993 1994–1995, World Championship years. Ferrari. In 1996, Schumacher joined Ferrari, a team that had last won the Drivers' Championship in 1979 and the Constructors' Championship in 1983, for a salary of $60 million over 2 years. He left Benetton a year before his contract with them expired. He later cited the team's damaging actions in 1994 as his reason for opting out of his deal. A year later, Schumacher lured Benetton employees Rory Byrne and Ross Brawn to Ferrari. Ferrari had previously come close to the championship in 1982 and 1990. The team had suffered a disastrous downturn in the early 1990s, partially as its famous V12 engine was no longer competitive against the smaller, lighter, and more fuel-efficient V10s of its competitors. Various drivers, notably Alain Prost, had given the vehicles labels such as truck, pig, and accident waiting to happen. Furthermore, the poor performance of the Ferrari pit crews was considered a running joke. At the end of 1995, although the team had improved into a solid competitor, it was still considered inferior to front-running teams such as Benetton and Williams. However, Schumacher declared the Ferrari F310 good enough to win a championship, although afterwards, his teammate Eddie Irvine labeled the F310 an awful car, a piece of junk, and almost undrivable, while designer John Barnard admitted that the car wasn't very good. During winter testing, Schumacher first drove a Ferrari, their 1995 Ferrari 412 T2, and was 2 seconds faster than former regulars Gene Alesi and Gerhard Berger had been. Schumacher, Brawn, Byrne, and Jean Todt have been credited as turning the struggling team into the most successful team in Formula One history. Three-time world champion Jackie Stewart believed the transformation of the Ferrari team was Schumacher's greatest feat. 1996–1999 2000–2004, World Championship years. 2005-2006, decline, resurgence, and retirement. 2007-2009, new roles at Ferrari. Mercedes. In December 2009, Schumacher announced his return to Formula One for the 2010 season alongside fellow German driver Nico Rosberg in the new Mercedes GP team. Mercedes returned to the sport as a constructor for the first time since 1955. Schumacher stated that his preparations to replace the injured Massa had initiated a renewed interest in Formula One, which, combined with the opportunity to fulfill a long-held ambition to drive for Mercedes and to be working again with team principal Ross Brawn, led Schumacher to accept the offer once he was past fit. Schumacher signed a 3-year contract, reportedly worth £20 million. He turned 41 in 2010 and his prospects with Mercedes were compared with Juan Manuel Fangio, Formula One's oldest champion, who was 46 when he won his 5th title. 2010, return from retirement. 2011-2012. Helmet. Schumacher, in conjunction with Schuberth, helped develop the first lightweight carbon helmet. In 2004, a prototype was publicly tested by being driven over by a tank. It survived intact. The helmet kept the driver cool by funneling directed airflow through 50 holes. Schumacher's original helmet sported the colors of the German flag and his sponsor's decals. On the top was a blue circle with white asteroids. From the 2000 Monaco Grand Prix, in order to differentiate his colors from his new teammate Rubens Barrichello, whose helmet was predominantly white with a blue circle on top and a red ellipsis surrounding the visor, Schumacher changed the upper blue color and some of the white areas to red. For the 2006 Brazilian Grand Prix, he wore an all-red helmet that included the names of his 91 Grand Prix victories. At the 2011 Belgian Grand Prix, Schumacher's 20th anniversary in Formula One, he wore a commemorative gold-leafed helmet, which included the year of his debut and the seasons of his 7 World Drivers' titles. During his 300th Grand Prix appearance, at the 2012 Belgian Grand Prix, Schumacher wore a platinum-leafed helmet with a message of his achievement. Honors. Schumacher has been honored many times. In 1992, the German Motorsport Federation awarded him the Ons Cup, the highest accolade in German motorsport. He also won the trophy in 1994, 1995, and 2002. In 1993, he won a Bambi Sports Award and was the first racing driver to receive the Golden Steering Wheel. In 1994 and from 2001 to 2003, Schumacher was voted European Sports Person of the Year by the International Sports Press Association. He was voted Polish press agency European Sports Person of the Year from 2001 to 2003. In 1995 and from 2000 to 2002, he was named Autosport International Racing Driver of the Year. Schumacher was voted German Sports Personality of the Year in 1995 and 2004. During the latter year, he was voted Germany's greatest sports person of the 20th century, beating Birgit Fischer and Steffi Graf to the accolade. For his sports achievements and his commitment to road safety, Schumacher was awarded Germany's highest sporting accolade, the Silbernes Lorbeerblatt, in 1997. In 2002, for his contributions to sport and his contributions in raising awareness of child education, Schumacher was named as one of the UNESCO champions for sport. Schumacher won the Laureus World Sportsman of the Year in 2002 and 2004, received the Marca Leyland Award in 2001, was named L'Équipe Champion of Champions 3 times, won the Gazzetta World Sports Award twice, and won the 2003 Lorenzo Bandini Trophy. In honor of Schumacher's racing career and his efforts to improve road safety and the sport, he was awarded an FIA Gold Medal for Motorsport in 2006. A year later, in 2007, he received the Prince of Asturias Award for Sport for his sporting prowess and his humanitarian record. Together with Sebastian Vettel, Schumacher won the Race of Champions Nations Cup 6 times in a row for Germany, from 2007 to 2012. In 2017, Schumacher was inducted into the FIA Hall of Fame and Germany's Sports Hall of Fame. In 2020, Jean Todt honored Schumacher with the FIA President Award, in recognition of Schumacher's 7 world championships and the inspiration his sporting and personal commitments brought to the world. In Sarajevo, Schumacher has been granted honorary citizenship, while the Assembly of the Sarajevo Canton has renamed major city Transversal Street after him, and earlier a large street mural has been painted in a city neighborhood of Dobrinja by a group of artists. Honorary citizenship has been granted by Maranello, Medina, and Spa as well. He has been appointed Chevalier de la Legion d'Honneur, has been honored with the Commander of the Order of Merit of the Italian Republic, and has been appointed as an ambassador of San Marino. In 2008, the Swiss Football Association appointed Schumacher as the country's ambassador for UEFA Euro 2008, hosted by Switzerland and Austria. In recognition of his contribution to Formula One, the Nürburgring circuit renamed turns 9 and 10 as the Schumacher S, in 2007. In 2014, the first corner of the Bahrain International Circuit was renamed in honor of Schumacher. He received the State Prize of North Rhine-Westphalia in 2022. Personal life and philanthropy. In August 1995, Michael married Karina Betch. They have 2 children, a daughter Gina Marie and a son, Mick. Schumacher has always been very protective of his private life and is known to dislike the celebrity spotlight. The family moved to a newly built mansion near Gland, Switzerland in 2007, covering an area of 650 square meter with a private beach on Lake Geneva and featuring an underground garage and petrol station, with a vintage Shell fuel pump. Schumacher and his wife own horse ranches in Texas and Switzerland. Schumacher's younger brother Ralph, his son Mick, his nephew David and step-brother Sebastian Stahl have also been racing drivers. Ralf Schumacher competed in Formula One for 10 years, starting from 1997 until the end of 2007. Mick became the 3rd Schumacher to race in Formula One, having made his debut with Haas F1 team in the 2021 season. Before his skiing accident, his main hobbies included horse riding, motorcycle racing, skydiving, and he played football for his local team FC Chickens. Schumacher appeared in several charity football games, and organized games between Formula One drivers. He is a supporter of 1. FC Köln, his local football club where he grew up, citing Pierre Littbarski and Harald Schumacher as his idols. He is a Roman Catholic. In 2006, Schumacher had a voice role in the Disney/Pixar film Cars. His character is himself as a Ferrari F430 who visits the town of Radiator Springs to get new tires from Luigi and Guido at the recommendation of Lightning McQueen. During arrival, Luigi and Guido both faint in excitement when they see him. The French film Asterix at the Olympic Games features Schumacher in a cameo role as a chariot driver called Schumacher. In 2009, Schumacher appeared on the BBC's motoring program Top Gear as the Stig. Presenter Jeremy Clarkson hinted later in the program that Schumacher was not the regular Stig, which the BBC subsequently confirmed. Schumacher was there because Ferrari would not allow anyone else to drive the unique black Ferrari FXX that was featured in the show. In July 2021, Netflix announced the first officially approved documentary film about Schumacher called Schumacher, which was released on September 15, 2021. Schumacher was a special ambassador to UNESCO and has donated €1.5 million to the organization. Additionally, he paid for the construction of a school for poor children and for area improvements in Dakar, Senegal. He supported a hospital for child victims of the siege in Sarajevo, which specializes in caring for amputees. In Lima, Peru, he funded the Palace for the Poor, a center for helping homeless street children obtain an education, clothing, food, medical attention, and shelter. Schumacher told F1 magazine, "It's great if you can use your fame and the power your fame gives you to draw attention to things that really matter." For the 2002 and 2013 European flood disasters, Schumacher donated €1,500,000 and €500,000, respectively. He donated $10 million for aid after the 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake, which surpassed that of any other sports person, most sports leagues, many worldwide corporations and even some countries. From 2002 to 2006, he donated at least $50 million to various charities. In 2008, he donated between $5 million and $10 million to the Clinton Foundation. Since his participation in an FIA European road safety campaign, as part of his punishment after the collision at the 1997 European Grand Prix, Schumacher continued to support other campaigns, such as Make Roads Safe, which is led by the FIA Foundation and calls on G8 countries and the United Nations to recognize global road deaths as a major global health issue. In 2008, Schumacher was the figurehead of an advertising campaign by Bacardi to raise awareness about responsible drinking. He featured in an advertising campaign for television, cinema, and online media, supported by consumer engagements, public relations, and digital media across the world. Finance and sponsorship. In 1999 and 2000, Forbes magazine listed him as the highest-paid athlete in the world. In 2005, Eurobusiness magazine identified Schumacher as the world's first billionaire athlete. In 2005, Forbes ranked him 17th in its The World's Most Powerful Celebrities list. A significant share of his income came from advertising. Deutsche Vermögensberatung paid him $8 million over 3 years from 1999 for wearing a 10 by 8 cm advertisement on his post-race cap. In 2010, his personal fortune was estimated at £515 million. In 2017, Forbes designated Schumacher as the athlete with the 5th highest career earnings of all time. 2013 skiing accident. On December 29, 2013, Schumacher was skiing with his then 14-year-old son Mick, descending the Combe de Solire below the Dent de Bergen above Maribel in the French Alps. While crossing an unsecured off-piste area between Piste Chamois and Piste Maudet, he fell and hit his head on a rock, sustaining a serious head injury despite wearing a ski helmet. According to his physicians, he would most likely have died had he not been wearing a helmet. He was airlifted to Grenoble Hospital where he underwent 2 surgical interventions. Schumacher was put into a medically induced coma because of traumatic brain injury. By March 2014, there were small encouraging signs, and in early April he was showing moments of consciousness as he was gradually withdrawn from the medically induced coma. In June 2014, Schumacher left Grenoble Hospital for further rehabilitation at the Lausanne University Hospital, Switzerland. In September 2014, Schumacher left the hospital and was brought back to his home for further rehabilitation. 2 months later, it was reported that Schumacher was paralyzed and in a wheelchair. He cannot speak and has memory problems. In May 2015, Schumacher's manager Sabine Kem stated that his condition was slowly improving considering the severeness of the injury he had. In September 2016, Felix Damm, lawyer for Schumacher, told a German court that his client cannot walk, in response to reports from December 2015 in German publication Die Bund that he could walk again. In July 2019, former Ferrari manager Jean Todt stated that Schumacher was making good progress but also struggles to communicate. Todt also said that Schumacher was able to watch Formula One races on television at his home. In September of that year, Le Parisien reported that Schumacher had been admitted to the Hôpital Européen Georges Pompidou in Paris for treatment by cardiovascular surgeon Philippe Manasque, described as a pioneer in cell surgery. Following the treatment, which involved him receiving an anti-inflammatory stem cell perfusion, medical staff stated that Schumacher was conscious. Racing record. Career summary. Complete German Formula 3 results. Complete World Sportscar Championship results. Complete Deutsche Tourenwagenmeisterschaft results. 24 hours of Le Mans results. Complete Japanese Formula 3000 Championship results. Complete Formula 1 results. Schumacher was disqualified from the 1997 World Drivers' Championship due to dangerous driving in the European Grand Prix, where he caused an avoidable accident with Jacques Villeneuve. His points tally would have placed him in second place in that year's standings. Driver did not finish the Grand Prix, but was classified as he completed over 90% of the race distance.